All right, let's start with the next one. Up next, we got Ryan, role for Combat Bonner, who is a senior security consultant at ProCircular and an experienced bug bounty hunter. And Karl, who is a security architect at Islands Banky, is also a top-rated hacker. Their topic is Plumbing the Plumber, a playbook for integration servers. This will be a field guide for hunting down and finding the complex plumbing and integration server related flaws. So here we go. Please give it up for Ryan and Karl.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, like he said, this is not just some one-off hack that we did in one cool adventure. This is a guide. This is a playbook. This is a how-to attack webMethods integration servers. So, who we are, like he said, I'm Ryan. I'm a senior penetration tester at ProCircular, bug bounty hunter. I pretend to be a teacher, and now I guess I can say I'm a presenter.
Oh, yeah. Okay, this mic is very awkward. All right. You hear me okay? Yeah. So, all right. I'm working off of notes here, so bear with me. But I actually, this is my real name up there, and I just go by Karl or Gummi Kalli, whatever you want. But if you're one of the few people in the world who can say my name, you can also use that. So I'm currently ranked #1 on Iceland's bug bounty platform, Defend Iceland. Or I was last time I checked, and I refuse to check again. So okay, I worked with webMethods for like 10 years almost. I escaped it in 2022. It's not fun to work with, but I have a lot of experience with that thing. And when I turned into a hacker, just I don't know, a year and a half ago or something, I started looking at it differently. And well, with help from Ryan, we basically kind of ripped it to shreds, and we're going to show you how.
Big shout out to him to being a developer on this and kind of like giving us the start and giving us the ability to kind of take a look at this. So the big question is, what the hell are webMethods? What are integration servers? How do we use this? Who here has played with, touched integration servers? Who knows what webMethods are? Raise your hand. All right, don't listen to this. You probably know more. We don't know a ton, but so you know the central idea, as we understand it, is it's an integration hub. It's a middleware. The idea is basically that it connects the old with the new. It'll connect your sort of mainframe to your new Salesforce app. That's, and it does this whole like data transformation and allows you to make these like business to business transaction and gives you a lot of opportunity to use old with new. The whole reason we kind of started attacking this and started looking at this is, reading and understanding it, we kind of saw it as this sort of like undocumented plumbing of large corporate world. And who likes corporations anyways? Nobody. So that's why we're attacking it. So when we're talking, who's using this? I said it's big corporations, but I mean we're talking the big boys. Aflac, Google, AT&T, Medtronic, Johnson & Johnson. There is a ton of just mega-sized businesses that are using this. Why do we care? Like I said, nobody cares about big corporations. That's a lie. I love you if you want to hire me. No, but like really, this affects us in a day-to-day situation. So this is banking, this is healthcare, this is insurance, this is financial transactions. Whether you care about these individual companies or not doesn't matter. We need to pay attention to this. We need to care about this just because of what can happen if things go south. It's this sort of central point of failure, and that's, like I said, this is why we need to care about this so much. So now that we understand a little bit about what webMethods are, how do we start? How do we take step one? We have to start off by understanding it a little bit. Starting off, it was built out in 1996. In 2007, it was purchased by Software AG, and then this last year in 2024, it was purchased by IBM. The biggest problem with this, though, is for the longest time, you could not get the information to kind of piece everything together. Gummi, I believe, was able or had to take some private training with this, and I think it was about $8,000 to $10,000 for a week of training in order to like understand how to piece these things together. So if Gummi, who works on this day to day, has to pay $8,000, that means all the researchers, all the security people, all the people who like care about that piece of it are not going to be able to get their hands on it, not going to be able to touch it, and this leaves you potentially vulnerable. So now that we've taken the step, we kind of understand a little bit more. What's our next step? I hate documentation reading. Everybody hates documentation reading. The sad reality is that's what we need to do. Sometimes we just have to sit down and do the hard things. I'd be lying if I said I knew the exact amount of pages, but I believe it's something around 30-ish thousand pages regarding web methods, and it was not in a centralized place. We're talking different forums, different private training things, different companies, and I believe only in the last year or so, maybe last couple of years, as it really started to centralize these like knowledge bases. So now that we've got a little bit more information on what we're doing, what do we want to do? We want to cast a wide net. We want to look at Shodan, FOFA, Censys, and even Google, the tried and true. So when we're looking at this, Shodan, we're in Recon Village. I assume most people here probably know what Shodan is. Essentially, I like to call it a search engine for hackers, and we're going to use a couple of queries to help us identify specific things. The biggest one, the most wide-ranging one, is this top one, the www authenticate, looking for integration server. That shows up somewhere between 600 and 700 results. Similar, we've got Zoomeye. I think the real big difference here is they have a little bit wider, port scanning range. I believe Shodan's somewhere around 1,000. They're about 3,800, give or take. And the big thing here with Zoomeye is really the integration with CBug Vuln database, and they have a much better coverage in the sort of Asian markets. FOFA, really big, and they've got really good rule-based fingerprinting. So they all have like slightly different like queries, but the idea here, it's not so much about the individual things that we use. We really just want to make sure that we're getting as much information as possible, we're putting it together, and then we're kind of going through everything. Censys, really good as well. Really strong quality data. The biggest thing that I like is I don't really have to read their documents on how to query their thing properly. They have a nice little query assistance which can help us out a lot. And then, like everybody says in every recon talk ever, sometimes you just have to Google it. Because if you just ask Google who uses web methods, you get these amazing like four or five things on the left. The picture on the right, I think, is from theirstack.com, which I think correlates job hiring posts and a couple other things with kind of making the connection of who's using what. That ended up with about 2,800 companies. So we've got all this data. We're kind of nearing the end of our recon. What's the next step? How can we get just a little bit more? CT log scanning. A good friend of mine named Gunnar made this great little tool called Guðmundur, and you can query it for certain titles, certain types of information. I basically have this running 24/7 during assessments, and bug bounty hunting, and you can find a lot of hidden infrastructure, a lot of hidden IT. Highly recommend it. So, this is Recon. So how do we put this all together? How do we make this make sense? We're bug bounty hunters. We want to make some money. How do we put dollars in our pockets with this? So we made a terribly vibe coded tool. It's called. No, you definitely couldn't tell I vibe coded that. So our tool is called Integration Server. The generalized idea, now that we've taken all this information and put it together, it will take the list of IPs and domains. We're going to convert everything, and we run some tests on it. They're not It's not super complex. This is not super hard things. This is not next level anything. We're simply looking for some very specific responses which kind of confirm that this is or isn't an integration server. Then we're going to test default credentials. Who would have known? A lot of people like to use default credentials. A lot of people probably didn't check this because I think we found, what was it, like 60-ish, 50-ish default credentials just based on the Shodan list.
Production servers.
And that's, I mean, this is a problem. The last kind of part of this is after we've kind of done our check, once we've kind of got our little confirmation, what's the next step we want to do? We're going to hit this with API endpoints. If you go through their documentation, there's about 5,100 different API endpoints that we decided to hit. I think there's a little bit more, but who wants to read all that damn documentation and figure all of it out? I don't. So a lot of the times you can figure out that as an unauthenticated user who's not logged in here, you can hit some very interesting things. We can list the keys here. You know, we get a bunch of 500s on remove password, set passwords, but you know, what the hell does that mean? That means I got to do my favorite thing, read documentation, because I just need to format my request and then I can execute that. But I don't want to get too deep in the exploitation part of that. Let me let Gummi tell you a little bit more about that.
All right, thank you. So, can I grab this?
Yep.
So, why does this work? Why does the app really work? The problems with webMethods just starts because it's so easy to make mistakes. Basically, if you can't get a service to work due to a permission issue, it's like tempting to just change the permission on the service to default. What you don't realize then as a developer is that anonymous is part of the default group. So you're making it basically unauthenticated, and so this means that. You might not think this is a big deal because these are like packages. This is a VM public package, and why not make it public doesn't matter. Well, it's public in the sense that it's a package you can use and it's going to be backwards compatible. As you see from the services that it includes, it's like if you've done this, you accidentally made all these public, anonymous, basically, and that does not look like something that should be anonymous, does it? No. Thanks, man. So yeah, these are basically the services that we are searching for, and there are thousands more. Just the VM public package has like a few thousand, well, at least a few hundred services in there, which you can exploit. So. What we did basically was we got, well, what did I do? Oh no. Thank you. So we compiled a list of like all the services we could get our hands on, and there are more. And there are like, and they're really easy now to source from the IBM documentation. They didn't used to be public, but they are now. And our list contains, what was it, 3,000 or something? Yeah. 5,000, I can't remember. I think we have 51. Yeah, 50, yeah. So now for the fun part, to actually exploit these services. So this is a short video. Does it work?
Yep. This is on PDF. It's not going to work.
Ah, okay. Sorry, that's not going to work. So basically, if you right-click on any service and you can run it, you can click run and run in a browser. What that will do is basically just create a link for you for where this service can be executed, and it's just a get endpoint. That's for all the services. It's not even post. It's just really simple. And yeah, it's when you hit this endpoint and you run the service in the browser, you're calling this right here, invoke, and then just the name of the service. So, right, just getting my bearings here. And what you can see is that whatever comes after invoke is just the path to the endpoint that you want to execute. And I don't think the people running this service realize that all this functionality that's available to developers is also available on the service in production. And to me, that's really sketchy. If I'm running a server like this now, I will not let it see the internet at all because, this is some scary stuff. So when we did this the first time we did this, we just had all the endpoints for all the public services we know about in our list. And what happens when we're running these services, that you will either get a 404 that the service was not found, which means that the service is not there, or you will get a 401, access denied, which means that it's there but it's not vulnerable, or you will get a 500, which means that the service is vulnerable, you just need to find the right meaningful variables, at which time you have to actually go to the documentation. Or you'll get a 200, and this means that it is vulnerable, and you just executed the service. And this is where we kind of fucked up a bit. So, this endpoint.
I'm sorry if your webMethods server shut down in the last couple of months. Apologies, we didn't mean to.
I really don't want to admit just how often I thought we were just being blocked by firewalls, only to realize that no, we shut down the servers. Right? And we've done that to major universities. I think we even did a hospital once.
We did none of the above.
Well, no, we didn't. We just hit an endpoint. All right, so if you run a server and you had this happen, then you could come and talk to me about my bounty, because this could have been a lot worse with this package. A lot worse. So when we find exposed services, what do we do? So this is kind of the tricky part, because it really depends on what services you find. And you might get lucky and just find a smoking gun and you can start reporting straight away. So I've twice received like maximum critical bounty by just reporting an endpoint that returned a bunch of B2B passwords. And I believe Ryan has found a few smoking guns too. But if you don't find a smoking gun, play with these services and find services that are exposed. And it's not hard to create a POC when you have exposed services such as HTML code, which can be used for XSS that will surely bypass any firewall. And I'm also confident that you will not have a problem exploiting a service with this name. Right? So this OS command service is a particular favorite, but there are some caveats with these services. There are some configurations required on the server to enable some of them, and this might not be exposed. So, some may be limited to a small number of arguments. For example, the get file will only give you files from a specific directory, but those files are almost certainly going to be something that are sensitive, so it's worth fussing that. And with this one also, to find out what it can actually do, you just use your first list to first for command injection, and this will give you some crazy results, I tell you. So, some services do require like complex data structures, and I recommend just moving on from them because it's a lot harder to exploit. But at this point, if you get this far, then you already have a maximum critical anyway, and just go ahead and report it. But what next? So this is in fact a tool for companies to create services that they want to then reuse, and they are just using these services that we've talked about here today. But if you can figure out what naming conventions they are using on their own services, they have put themselves into like a situation where it's a lot easier to fuck up. And the developers will create their own services, they don't understand why it doesn't work, they just make it default. And if you can figure out the naming convention, then you start fussing them like crazy, almost guaranteed you find something really juicy. I just have a quick sort of thought on all of this. This isn't just about webMethods or integration server. This is about legacy servers on the internet, been there for like 30 years, and nobody has touched it in the world. If they had, we wouldn't have had this field day that we had with this thing. And they're still out there. So I think this methodology should be applied to more servers that are similar, like legacy stuff that you might know about but nobody else knows about. And think, has anybody touched it in the world? I bet not, because this was out there, we found it, had a lot of fun with it, and I think you should apply this to whatever else you might know about. With that, I'll let you wrap up.
Yeah, like you said, it's really interesting that this has been on the internet for so long, and how much how much we were able to find because of it. The big thing, our takeaways is, like you said, I think we can kind of simply apply a similar methodology. Next year, we looked at IBM webMethods this year. I'm really interested in taking a look at MuleSoft or any other similar style integration server service. So that's kind of our plans for the next year. And as we said, I think we turned in something like 80-ish bug reports, VDPs, and bug bounty programs. But I think the reality is a much bigger team, a much deeper, look at what we're looking at. I still think there's a lot more to find and exploit in this particular setup. But if you guys are interested in reporting your first bug, highly recommend just download the tool, gather some information. Maybe like 10% of the people ever responded. If you want your first bug, you're new to bug bounty or anything similar, use it, do it, report it, and thanks for coming to the talk, and I appreciate it. And thank you for all the harassers in the front and kicking all of y'all out. So yeah, big shout out to everybody on the screen.
Yeah, you gotta take a picture for
Oh yeah, hold on.
I know Dan loves this picture.
Two of those guys are right here.
But yeah, happy to answer any questions y'all might have, and looking forward to doing it again next year.
See you around.
Yay!
Nice to meet you.